Why do Millwall and West Ham hate each other so much? This isn't just a football rivalry, this is a blood feud. Born in the docks of East London, forged in strikes, sharpened by class war, and kept alive through a century of chaos. It's brutal, it's personal, and it's unlike anything else in the game. And trust me, you'll want to stick around till the end, because there's a twist in this story that'll flip the whole narrative on its head. Welcome to Big Builds. Let's get into it. It all started with iron and steel. Before they were Millwall and West Ham, they were just two football teams made up of working-class men who lived and bled the London dockyards. We're going all the way back to the late 1800s, when football was still in black and white, and the game was more about boots than tactics. West Ham started life as Thames Ironworks FC in 1895. They were formed by and for the workers of the massive Thames Ironworks shipbuilding company. Millwall, on the other hand, were founded in 1885 by workers from J.T. Morton's jam factory on the Isle of Dogs. Blue collar? These guys invented the term. Now, here's where it gets interesting. You'd think two teams built on working-class pride would be allies, right? Nope. What separated them wasn't just the river, it was competition, bitterness, and eventually outright hate. They were too close, too similar, too proud. The first sparks, early matches were war. Their first meeting was in 1899, and even back then, the tension was so thick you could cut it with a crowbar. It wasn't just football, it was local bragging rights, job pride, and flat-out hostility. These weren't matches, they were battles with a ball. In those early days, Millwall were the stronger side. West Ham struggled to compete, and that made it worse, because losing to your local rival, your dockyard neighbor, isn't just a loss, it's humiliation. Crowds back then, packed shoulder to shoulder, no segregation, no stewards. Fights were common. Flares weren't a thing yet, but bottles, fists, bricks. Oh yeah, they were flying. The matches only added fuel to the fire. Every game was another scar, another chapter in a story no one wanted to end. The 1926 strike that changed everything. If you want to know when things got really ugly, look no further than the general strike of 1926. This was a nationwide protest. Workers from nearly every major industry downed tools in solidarity with the coal miners, demanding better pay and conditions. Millwall's fan base, largely from the Isle of Dogs, stood firm in support of the strike. They were union men, shoulder to shoulder with their brothers across the country. But West Ham? Many of their fans crossed picket lines. Some stayed working. And to the Millwall faithful, that wasn't just betrayal, it was treason. That split was massive. From then on, it wasn't just about football. It was about class loyalty. It was about honor. It was personal. The strike drew a battle line that's still visible today. Millwall fans saw themselves as the true working-class warriors. West Ham, they became the sellouts, the scabs, the traitors. That perception stuck, and it turned a fierce rivalry into a genuine, festering hatred. Hooliganism takes the rivalry to new heights. Fast forward to the 1970s and 80s, and now we're talking about something else entirely, the golden age of football hooliganism. And Millwall and West Ham, they weren't just participants, they were headline acts. Millwall had the notorious Bushwhackers. West Ham had the intercity firm, the ICF. These weren't just rowdy fans. These were organized, battle-hardened firms that traveled the country looking for fights. And when Millwall and West Ham crossed paths, it was like tossing a match into a petrol station. The firms made this rivalry nuclear. Pre-arranged fights, ambushes at train stations, street brawls involving hundreds of men. The actual games. Half the time they were overshadowed by the chaos outside the ground. Police treated Millwall versus West Ham fixtures like riots waiting to happen. And they weren't wrong. In 2009, after years of avoiding each other due to being in different divisions, the two sides met in a League Cup match. The result? A full-scale riot outside Upton Park. One man stabbed, dozens injured, hundreds arrested. This wasn't nostalgia, it was a reminder. The hate was still alive. Culture clash, working class versus East End swagger. Now, here's where things get even deeper. Because this isn't just about football, it's about identity. Millwall fans have always seen themselves as the forgotten ones, the underdogs, the outlaws. Their unofficial motto? No one likes us, we don't care. That's not just a chant, it's a way of life. West Ham, they had the swagger, the East End charm, Bobby Moore, the World Cup, films like Green Street, a bit more spotlight, a bit more shine, and that only made Millwall hate them more. Because while West Ham were getting Premier League status and Hollywood scripts, Millwall were grinding it out in the lower leagues, fighting tooth and nail for every scrap of recognition. It was jealousy, resentment, pride, all rolled into one boiling pot of football fury. When they met, and when they didn't. Here's a strange fact. These two clubs have only played each other around 100 times in over a century. Why? Because they've spent most of their time in different divisions. But every time they do meet, chaos follows. The media hypes it, the police brace for war, and the fans, they don't forget. 2009 was brutal, but even matches before that were packed with tension. The 1978 match at the Den, pitch invasions, police dogs, and full-scale brawls. Every meeting is a chapter in a book written in broken seats and cracked ribs. And even when they're not playing, the rivalry simmers. Chants, graffiti, online abuse, it never really goes away. Pop culture and infamy. Now let's talk about how this feud became famous outside the pitch. Movies like Green Street, a fictional take on West Ham's hooligan scene, and documentaries like The Real Football Factories have pushed this rivalry into pop culture. Suddenly, Americans and global fans knew about the Bushwhackers, the ICF, the violence, the hate. But here's the catch. Those films often glamorize the violence. They turn it into a movie script. But for the people who lived it, it wasn't entertainment. It was real. It was dangerous. And for some, it was deadly. Still, that exposure cemented the rivalry's place in football folklore. Even fans who've never been to London know there's something different about Millwall versus West Ham, something darker. A rivalry that defines generations. Here's the thing, this rivalry gets passed down like a family heirloom. Millwall fans grow up hearing stories of fights on Cold Blow Lane. West Ham fans remember tales of walking to Upton Park under police escort. It's tribal, it's generational. It's not just, I don't like them, it's, I'll never like them. Grandparents, parents, kids, they all carry the same badge of pride, the same grudge, the same fire. And that's why, even if they don't play each other often, the hate doesn't fade. It gets preserved. But here's the twist. Ready for the part you didn't see coming? There was a moment, just one, when Millwall and West Ham stood side by side. During World War II, with London under the Blitz, both club grounds were bombed. Both communities suffered. And for a brief period, West Ham and Millwall fans helped each other clear rubble, rebuild homes, and survive. Yeah, survive. The hate took a back seat. Because bombs don't care what shirt you wear. And in those days, survival meant sticking together. It didn't last long, but it happened. And it's a weird, forgotten piece of history that shows. Even the fiercest rivals are still human. The hate today, is it still burning? So where does this rivalry stand today? The violence has calmed, but the hate, still alive. Social media keeps it going. Fans still trade jabs. Games between them are rare, but when they happen, they mean something. You won't see the riots like before, but the tension, the distrust, the pure, stubborn dislike, still there, as raw as ever, because this isn't just football. It never was. This is East London pride, working class history, generational loyalty, and scars that never really healed. So now you know. Millwall versus West Ham isn't just a derby. It's a story of class war, betrayal, fists, flares, and a little moment of wartime unity you probably never heard about. And here's the truth. This rivalry will outlive the players, the managers, maybe even the clubs. Because it's more than sport, it's emotion, it's identity, it's hate, explained. If you enjoyed this dive into football's darkest rivalry, don't forget to like, subscribe, and let us know in the comments. What other feuds should we cover next? And hey, whether you're a lion or a hammer, just don't meet in the car park. Thanks for watching Big Builds. We'll see you in the next one.